Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Jared Lee, and I'm joined, as usual, by my lovely wife, Jamie Lee. So, Jamie, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Lovely.
I guess last week was Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Hopefully, I guess people, I don't know. I don't really know how many people do, like, go out and do a lot of stuff. I feel like that's like when you're dating, people tend to do Valentine's Day more, like make a big fuss about it. Perhaps.
I think it just depends on the couple.
It probably does.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very romantic.
Very.
Because I very much believe in corporate holidays like Valentine's Day. But
very untrue.
I was very romantic. I did hibachi.
Yes.
I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
It was a nice meal. And we didn't have to wait in line.
It was really good. It was really good. I was like, when he said hibachi, I was like, oh, yes. Yes, we will have hibachi. Yes.
And yes, yep. I did the knife play and threw the shrimp, and I didn't hurt myself or anybody else. I actually didn't do that. I just made it. But
I wish I would have been a dinner and a show.
You want me to learn how to do I'll go to hibachi school. Is that a thing? Do they have hibachi school?
Well, this is what I know. My brother, he worked at a Japanese steakhouse for like 8 years back in Missouri. And he actually practiced how to do it because they showed him. But they do go to, I think it's Myrtle Beach was where they were at, like their base was from, or like the main location. And they actually like learned there. Oh. And they would come back and do it there. But yeah, I don't know how they do it now. That was a long time ago.
I'll watch a YouTube video. I'm sure there's a YouTube video on how to do it. That's how most things go nowadays. It's amazing what you can learn on YouTube. But
for sure.
But yeah, we're not going to talk about Valentine's Day, but hopefully everybody had a nice Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and President's Day weekend. I mean, it was a big weekend.
True. Yeah. Hopefully everyone celebrated their President's Day as well. Perhaps romantically. I don't know. Very
presidential, if you will. Red, white, and blue, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know the protocol. Other than I think most people get the day off. I think
so. That's right.
I'm not up to date on these things, but we do have some news we're going to talk about today, including... the old NBA Experience is the building there is getting something new.
Yeah.
And then there's some changes to some virtual queues, which we're going to talk about. I'm teasing this.
You are.
I'm teasing this. I'm not going to give a lot of specifics. But before we get into the news, just want to remind everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you're not, and you would like to watch us on YouTube, you can find us over at CTM Podcast on YouTube. And we have video versions of the show over there, so you'd rather watch the show versus listen. We also have some show clips and shorts and everything like that you can check out over there. And then, of course, if you're listening on good old trusty audio podcast form, that's always like Valentine's Day. It's always great.
Okay.
Right? I guess. I don't know. Either way.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Half the things I say, I don't know.
What's that?
Nobody take me too seriously in general.
Never do.
Wow. Well... It's just as trusty. You can find us on all the audio podcast forms out there, Apple, Spotify, whichever ones you're on. I believe we're on all those. Just Capture the Magic podcast feed list. Subscribe on whatever platform you listen on and leave us a review. We'd greatly appreciate that. Helps us continue to grow the show. And, of course, if you want even more content, you want to have a cool group to interact with, you want to go to some meetups, you want year-round discounts, you can check out Club 32, and that's our private group, sort of like our own Patreon, where we have additional content. We have Cool Kids Kitchen. We have the Club 32 show, which every Tuesday we go live and chat with everybody. We have the Clubhouse that's now going in there. We have, like I said, meetups. You get 20% off of CTM apparel and 1901 Candle Company products year-round, so it's always like a sale in there. Sometimes it's even more, sometimes 25% off, but it's always at least 20. There's a private Facebook group. Private podcast feed, which I did just fix. I know there was an issue with the private podcast feed we had. It is all fixed and ready to go. There's music loops and all the content you can find on there, so you can listen on the go at your leisure. And it's a good, like the Facebook group's a good group. It's full of a lot of people who go to the parks a lot, so it's a good brain trust to, if you got some questions about restaurants or lightning lanes or whatever it is, Disney and Universal, you can ask in there, and usually you can get your answer to your question rather quickly. So if you want to go join there, you can go to ctmvip.com. We have monthly or yearly options. And if you do a yearly, you get a free t-shirt, and you can even do a free trial if you want to try it out. And it's a great way to contribute to the show if that's something you'd like to do as well. But again, you can go to ctmvip.com. And if you'd like to join, we would love to have you. So, all right, well, let's get to the news. So our first story is, like I kind of teased, There are some changes coming to virtual queues, I guess, in terms of saying goodbye to them when it comes to Tiana's Bayou Adventure and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind starting next week.
Yeah, so starting February 25th, which I believe is Tuesday, both attractions will have a standby line and Lightning Lane. Now, Tiana's will still be available on Lightning Lane Multipass. A Cosmic Rewind is still available to purchase for Lightning Lane Single Pass. Cosmic Rewind will also be available during Epcot early entry, which is the 30 minutes that hotel guests get before regular park opening to like ride certain attractions. Tiana's is still not available during early entry because Frontierland is closed during early entry. But we finally have an end to Cosmic Rewinds, which is crazy because we've had that in place since May of 2022.
Yeah, there's been rumblings for years that they were at some point going to get rid of it, which makes sense. I mean, I think when it comes to virtual queues, I'm curious what you think.
Okay.
I think people that go all the time like them a lot, like locals, because you really figure out, like, it's not hard to learn how to get in there and get them pretty easily. And it's a good way to, you can essentially, it's almost like getting a lightning lane in a way to be able to do that. I think for your average park guest, I feel like in general they don't like it as much because I feel like there is a learning curve. You got to do it at 7 a.m. People may not get up in time to do it. And if it's a ride that you're just dead set on doing, like if I really want to do Cosmic Rewind, I think most people would rather just say, you know what, I'll wait, whatever the wait, an hour and a half to do this versus vying for a virtual lottery in terms of getting it. Because again, if you don't know the system that well, it can seem a little bit overwhelming. Yeah. So I feel like most park guests probably prefer it this way, to not have virtual queues. I mean, that's what they've done. Universal's done that forever with Hagrid's. They used to do virtual queues and they got rid of it. Basically, it's like, if you really want to do it, you're going to have to wait probably 60 to 90 minutes to do it. But I feel like most people are more, at least you have a chance to ride it, I suppose, versus just you're just out of luck unless you get the lightning lane to do it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the people that come more frequently, like locals or annual pass holders, have, I'm not going to say game the system because that's not the right word, but like just done it enough to where they get really good at getting virtual queues and it's not a big deal. And then you have the ease of being like, okay, I am, 30 minutes from the parks and I'll just wait until they call my group and then I'll go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of like actually having to think about like, okay, well, if I go, then I might have to wait longer. So I understand that point of view. And I kind of feel the same way. Like I would prefer to have a virtual queue because, again, I know how to do it. It's not a big deal. I'm up at 7 usually anyway. So you know what I mean? Like it's not a big deal to me. But I get it with the guests that come less frequently, aren't as familiar with how to do the virtual queue system because, like you said, there is a learning curve. Like it's not easy to do like at least the first time. And there's a lot of people that come like once a year and they're just like, okay, I have to do this at 7 a.m. Like, What if I don't want to get up early? What if I don't do this? So I think that for most guests, I would say most are happy that this is the case. And it gives them the choice to actually just get in line. Because when you do the virtual queue and you don't get it, your choice is done, is made for you. Like you don't get to write it unless you buy a single pass, which, to be honest, single pass for Guardians, I think it sells out almost every day.
Usually, I think it does.
We were talking about this last night with our Club 32 members, and that somebody pointed out that, Disney has free reign to allot however many lightning lanes they want to hand out. So in this case, they could maybe up that number. Well, sell more.
And that's what I was going to say.
That's what we're going to do.
I think the flip side of this is it does allow them potentially, because you don't have the virtual queues out there, where they could offer more lightning lanes to sell. I think that is a possibility with this. Now, I get the theme parks I think they like the idea of virtual queues more than guests do, because theme parks would love for you're technically waiting in another line while you're out doing something else. So you could potentially be spending more money or doing something. So I think in theory, it's something that the theme parks have ended up liking more, or who's run them, versus the actual guests. And I do wonder about the future of virtual queues. Like, I'm sure they'll be used for high demand rides when they first open. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if Test Track uses it when it first reopens.
I think you're right.
But like Tiana's has never needed it. The reason they've had it for Tiana's is because that ride breaks down a lot, and it's easier to evacuate if you have one group in there versus an entire line. And they did the same thing with Rise of the Resistance for a long time. It wasn't as much as the demand as it was basically when the ride shuts down, they don't have to get rid of an entire line full of people. It can just be like certain boarding groups. So I think they like it for that reason. But in general, I think again, it's sort of like when they changed Genie Plus to Lightning Lanes. That was a change more toward people like infrequent guests. I feel like this is also a change more toward infrequent guests. Yeah,
and with Tiana's, they had said when they opened the ride that it was only going to be in place for the opening. They didn't. Right. I mean, we were all like, oh, they'll probably have it until the fall. Now we're into February, and they're like, okay, now we'll finally get rid of it. But it broke down a lot. To be fair. So if you were a virtual queue person and you saw that they weren't boarding in more groups, then you didn't have to waste your time in line. So that was nice. But I think what they're doing now, at least according to some people that were writing it lately, because I haven't written it in a while, even if there were certain like animatronics that weren't working or certain audio cues that weren't working, they were still going through the ride.
I think they opened up, more like B and C modes.
Probably, or whatever that is. They weren't shutting the whole thing down just because like one section wasn't working. So I think if that's what they're going to do, then virtual queue going without it is more practical. We'll see what the standby line looks like. I assume it's going to look close to what Splash Mountain looked like, especially during the summer, hour, 75 minutes.
It's going to depend on the season.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing it does too is I think this probably changes rope drop, say at Epcot for sure.
For sure.
Because now you're going to have more people going over to Guardians. It'll probably even out Ratatouille. It'll probably even out Frozen. So those rides presumably will have lower wait time. So it's kind of like even. And then when Test Track opens, you're probably going to have much more of lower waits upon like early park entry or rope drop. So I think it does. And that's the thing too is like there's a lot of rides that are, under refurbishment and not running right now. So this does help with having more people in lines versus clogging up other lines as well.
Yeah.
So I do wonder going forward how often they end up using it because for that reason.
My advice, if you want my advice on this, the best strategy with Guardians early entry for me personally would to buy a single pass. Because if you decide, hey, I am going to just do let's say I'm just going to do early entry for this ride, you could still do that. But again, it's a long ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you might already have a line, especially at the beginning when that's all, rolling out. You might already have a line going in standby. And once you get on the pre-show and then the pre-show and then it's a long process.
19 pre-shows.
So I mean, the only thing you're riding during early entry is Guardians. That's just the thing. What I'm saying is get a single pass. When you go through the Lightning Lane, it doesn't take as long. I don't know how it'll be with standby, but I'm assuming it'll be like it was with virtual queue, where you go by pretty quick. And do a single pass and then rope drop, still rope drop, Frozen or Remy's. And then if you want to do multi-pass, you can, or you can maybe get 2 rides in during early entry. It just depends on where you're coming in from. But I think you can get more done if you don't rope drop Guardians.
Probably.
Maybe.
Probably.
Again, it just depends on where you're coming in from. If you're coming in from International Gateway or the front of the park, what's more important to you? Me personally, I would probably try to get a single pass if it was just me.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your budget too. That's something you want to spend on. But if you want to, I get it though. If you were somebody who knew that system, you're not going to probably like this change. But
but what I'm saying is, if you get a single pass for Guardians, just don't do a multi-pass for the rest of the park.
Yeah, I could see that.
And you'd save your money, and you could still do early entry for the other rides and get stuff done. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be my strategy. But anyway.
Or just get Premier Pass and spend, $1,000 on you and your family.
Which is not financially, if you're pinching your pennies, that's not liable.
Depends on what there's lots of factors that go in.
Sure.
But
absolutely.
So,
but anyway, that's how I feel.
But that is changing. Yeah, I would say you're right. I would agree with you on that. For if you're trying to get the most out of your time, and utilize lower weights as possible, I think that's probably a good way to do that. So
I'm just saying.
All right. Well, that starts next week.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. If that changes your trip, then you'll have to adjust mid-trip.
Somebody that listens to us, she sent me a message. She says, I will be at Disney when this switches over. So I will let you know how it goes. I was like, okay.
And sometimes the switchover dates, sometimes those can be a little, There's nothing like Disney's already complicated enough. Then mid-trip, you have to change everything because something shifts, which happens sometimes. So you got to do double homework there.
Right, exactly. She's going to be there when it has virtual queue and then when it doesn't. So
that would be interesting to see how it times out the last day they do it versus then you go the next day and to see what that's like. That would be very interesting.
Be kind to those cast members. They're learning just like you are. So,
although I don't know how much it affects cast members too much. It's probably easier on them because they don't have to booking windows and all that. There's maybe less than normal because you have the lightning lanes you're only dealing with.
Sure. Just saying. Yeah. It's a different thing. So.
Fair enough.
All
right. Well, that's it on that one. All right. Next news story we have is the defunct NBA Experience that lasted about 3 weeks, which I'm not shocked it didn't last very long, is being replaced by Level 99.
Yeah. So a press release went out about this today, which is Wednesday for us. And it's going to be replacing NBA Experience. And what Level 99 is, if you're not familiar, and this is quoted from the press release, it says, first of its kind destination for real world, challenge based social entertainment for adults, featuring over 50 physical and mental challenges set in artistic environments. This features best in class design, an award winning culinary offering, and craft beverages. And I believe they did say it'll be 60 of these challenges, and it's basically a bunch of like high caliber escape type rooms with alcohol and pizza. They did mention pizza in there.
Pizza's good.
So, but they did say it's adults. It's for adults. Did not say it's for kids.
Yeah. So I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff. Yeah. I that sounds. I have no clue. I have no clue if that would be fun or not.
I do like escape rooms.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be dependent upon how much is it.
True.
Like repeatability, and is it something like that was the thing I always said about the NBA Experience of it never. I never thought it would do well. Like I had questions when they first announced it. I was like, I don't feel like the crowd that comes to Disney is going to be super gung ho about an NBA Experience type thing. Yeah. But then when it opened, I remember going in there. And it was just poorly run. I remember that was like, I think it was $30-some a person. And they just had employees like dribbling basketballs around. And you're like, oh, well, how does this work? And there was like no video on how they would just explain to you. And it just didn't seem like something you're like, oh man, I really want to check that out. It was just sort of odd. Yeah. Didn't last very long. So I wasn't surprised that one didn't do as very well. This, I really don't know. I mean, I guess it sounds interesting, I guess.
And they didn't specifically say we're going into this, NBA Experience space. They didn't say that, but that's what we're assuming because where else would they go? This is like huge, multi-space room.
I mean, I'm looking at the website here. They have themed challenges, work together in dozens of unique challenge rooms with your team of 2 to 6 players to test your body and mind. And then they have duels. Player versus player, local art, I guess. Let's see how much tickets are.
This would be a good thing to do with like a bachelor party or birthday or something.
Maybe. There's only 2 locations. This is Natick and Providence. So this seems like kind of like a newish type thing.
Are you pricing it out?
Yeah, I'm just seeing what it says for a 2-hour ticket is $35.99 each
per person.
A 4-day ticket is
4-hour ticket.
4 hours, excuse me, is $45.99 per hour. And then all-day ticket is $55.99. So if you did the 2-hour ticket for 4 people, it'd be about $143. Did the 4-hour ticket, you're looking at $183. But if you did the all-day ticket, you're looking at $223.
Okay.
That's a lot. That's a decent amount of money to.
I need more information.
Yeah, and like the website doesn't have a lot of info on here about
Right.
really like what it is.
Yeah.
Like it just seems very, like I don't know what the description is really entailing.
Right. It's kind of vague.
And that doesn't include food. I'm assuming most of these things don't.
I think that is you have to purchase that
Right.
separately. Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. I mean, it seems. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, escape rooms, like I think people know escape rooms. This seems like a version of an escape room, but with a twist on it, I guess.
Listen, they're going to have a 2-story bar, handcrafted cocktails, local beers.
I love handcrafted cocktails. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, there's no idea of like when this is going to open.
No,
or
they did
anything
not
like
say
that.
when. They did not say when. So
I won't be surprised
think
at this type of place. I just don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't do well. Because I don't know the crowd. Like usually people coming to Disney Springs are looking to shop. Unless something is just mind blowing and amazing. At the pricing that's at, it would have to have like really good word of mouth. Mm-hmm. And like really, be something that's worth dropping like for a family almost $200 to do it.
And its location is on the west side. And if you remember where NBA Experience is, that's way on the west side.
Yeah.
Like it's almost to the Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
So unless you're going over there or parking over there.
And right next to that, you already have the other place. What's that other restaurant over there? The sports bar?
CityWorks?
CityWorks. Mm-hmm. So you already have a place over there to get a drink and eat food too.
Yeah.
So
there's lots of places to eat and get food.
that is very true. It's not like it'd be the only thing. Yeah. I guess we'll see, but that is, seems like it is going in over there where the NBA Experience was. We'll see if that place is cursed or not.
Oh, gosh.
Because if that doesn't work, I'm pretty sure that location is just cursed.
Okay.
Or haunted. Or both. I don't know.
Goodness gracious.
All right. I don't make the rules. All right. Next story we have is Jelly Rolls on the Boardwalk will officially be leaving the boardwalk on April 19th.
After April 19th.
Excuse me.
That is its last day.
Well, April 19th. Yes. The last day to go to Jelly Rolls.
Yeah. So I think last week we talked about the fact that they announced that it would be leaving. Now it's not going away completely. It's just leaving the boardwalk. So they'll be going to a new location. We just don't know where.
Rumor has it the rents have gone up.
That seems crazy because we haven't, lost the Big River Grill and Brewery last year.
Although that was not very good.
Right. But if the rent went up, then that makes sense.
Right.
And then, we lost ESPN Club over, years ago. Now it's the Cake Bake Shop. It's just crazy how everything's kind of changing over there. At least we still have Flying Fish. It's been over there forever.
Yeah.
Still got, Trattoria, however you pronounce it. So lots of changes coming to the boardwalk.
I guess it's good for Atlantic Dance Hall.
Atlantic City Dance Hall.
They're doing the they're like from Wedding Singers, like you're losing your mind and I'm reaping the benefits.
Pretty much
slinks into the corner.
Pretty much. But
so yeah, if you'd like to go to Jelly Rolls and pay $22 to get in, you can do that up until April 19th.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
All right. And the last story we have is permits have been approved for the demolition to begin on the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island for the future Frontierland attraction featuring cartoon cars. That's just my personal opinion there.
That is Jared's personal opinion.
Yeah. So they got the state had come back before and asked for clarification, more information about the permits, seemingly that it's been greenlit. So anybody that was holding out hope that the state of Florida and bureaucracy was going to save the rivers of America, that is not going to be the case. So there has been no official closing date for it, anything like that. I'm sure I would be surprised if it runs into the fall because I imagine they're going to probably want to start pretty soon on construction.
I don't want to talk too much about this because we have talked about this before ad nauseum, I think. The only thing I'm going to say is that I love water, like bodies of water. I think it's a good separation between sections of the theme park. Mm-hmm. And I will be sad that I don't see that in off of Liberty Square and into Frontierland. I think it'll feel very different, which good or bad, we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna be sad about the loss of the river.
Well,
of America.
to me, it's twofold. I think it's a major mistake to get rid of the Rivers of America. I think it brings a lot of ambiance. I think it adds a good, it sets the tone for that entire area. Now, the reason is more than likely they're doing it is because the Rivers Foundation needed a lot of work. And I don't think they wanted to put the money in for something that they don't deem has an ROI. I think that's a major reason for this. The other flip side to it, not only do I think the Rivers of America going away is a mistake, but I also just have lots of questions about, I'm not against a Cars-themed attraction or a Cars land necessarily, but I am against it going into a Frontierland setting. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Talking about the Wild West with horses and buggies and, frontiermen, and they're like, cartoon cars racing on dirt. And you're like, that doesn't make a lot of sense unless, which I think they'll probably, if I were to guess, is going to happen, Frontierland is no longer going to be Frontierland. They've taken down those signs. I think most things point to, even if they call it Frontierland, there's a change in what Frontierland means. So I think that's a pretty good indication of that. Plus, I mean, it's just also somewhat of a direct connection to Walt. I don't like things like stuff like that go away, but it's happening. So
it is happening.
I guess, construction wise, well, they also rumor wise that the villain's land work, prep work is going to begin next month as well. So that's probably going to coincide with that.
Yeah.
So lots of construction is going to be going on at Magic Kingdom. You only have that going on. You got Big Thunder Mountain down until 2026.
Yeah.
You have Astro Orbiter currently being refurbed. So there's a lot of construction, which will be interesting to see. Not only do you have, Epic Universe opening, but a lot of the construction Disney's doing themselves. Does that also deter crowds during this, given major parts of the parks are going to be under construction? I don't know. But yeah, so if you're holding out hope, I'd say go visit the Rivers of America. I'm going to guess it doesn't make it past the summer if I were to give a guesstimation on when they're going to say they're going to close it.
I don't know. Do you remember it was drained? They drained the water out and they're working on it for a year.
I do remember that.
That wasn't that long ago either.
That was only 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. I just remember walking by it and like, oh.
Yeah.
You could see the track where the boat would.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
It was kind of weird.
It was very strange.
But anyway.
Well, that's going to be it for the news. But we move on to our discussion segment of the show, where today we're going to talk about our stay at Port Orleans Riverside, which we hadn't stayed here for a few years. And we stayed in a different section than we have before. So we did, what was that, a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, so
we did a full review.
It was in 2022. We stayed in a royal princess room with our kids. And we actually did an episode about it, episode 394.
Oh.
So if you want a full review of the whole resort and that room, you can go back and listen to that.
Because nothing's really changed since then with the resort.
I know. We could do a re-review, but I think we might do that of the whole resort whenever the rooms are renovated. And that's supposed to come this year.
Yeah.
Starting in September, something like that. So later this year.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the room and a couple other things here.
Sure.
So this will be a light review, but if you want that full review, yes, you can check out episode 394. So, all right, let's talk about some details about Riverside here.
So it's a moderate resort. It is the sister resort of French Quarter. It used to be called Disney's French Quarter Resort and Disney's Dixie Stampede.
Dixie Stampede.
Oh my gosh.
Dolly Parton was there.
Nope. Dixie Landings back many years ago. And then they rebranded it and it's Disney's Port Orleans Resort. And there's French Quarter and there's Riverside. The vibe is very rural Louisiana. And there's 2 main sections. We've got Alligator Bayou, and that's where we stayed this time, and the Magnolia Bend, and that is where they house, I think all of the royal rooms are in that section, but very pretty section. They have the quick service food court. They have the Boat Rights Dining Hall, River Roost that hosts Yeehaw Bob, which we've done. They have 5 pools, including the future pool called Old Man Island, which is pretty fun. It's pretty fun. They got a cool slide.
It could use a better name.
Old Man Island.
Where you go? I'm going to Old Man Island.
Yeah.
Lots of old men and rocking chairs.
They do have boat transportation to Disney Springs, which is really good. And, personally, we think it's a great location to, obviously, Disney Springs. Magic Kingdom, Epcot, even Hollywood Studios isn't that far away. I mean, minus Animal Kingdom, it's kind of farther, but it's a good location.
Yeah, I think the location's very good. I mean, it's not far from everything else other than Animal Kingdom. So,
what do you think about the vibe of this resort? Like, do you like the theming of the resort?
I like Riverside there's not a ton of moderates, but it's one of my favorite moderates. I do like the vibe. I definitely like the Magnolia side a bit. It reminds me sort of like
pretty.
Augusta. So it's got a good, almost like a Georgia feel to it, like a country club in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do enjoy it. I think it is. It's laid out pretty. Like it's not really compact. We get like space to walk around, and it's got good scenic views. You get stuff around it. So I think it's. As the moderates go, it might be my favorite. I like it better than French Quarter. Personally speaking,
like it better than French Quarter?
French Quarter is smaller, and it's just so like compact. I feel like you've got more space at Riverside.
Okay.
And it's quiet. Like you don't hear a lot of stuff over there. So I would say in terms of the moderates, it's probably my favorite.
Okay.
I like it better than Coronado.
Right.
I've never been a huge fan of Coronado. So
right.
And Coronado's location is not as good as Riverside.
True.
I would say.
Do you like it better than Caribbean Beach?
Yeah, I'm not. Caribbean Beach is okay. It's never been my favorite. The redesign of it recently is better than it used to be. And it is nice if you stay near Riviera. You kind of get the benefits of walking over to Riviera and some of the food over there.
That's a pretty big bonus.
So I would say probably it's my number 2. Like in terms of like, it depends. Like the vibe and things, I would prefer just what the resort has to offer. I do like Riverside better. But I think that if you stay, what was the section that's closest to Riviera?
There's Aruba on one side, and I believe it's Martinique.
Yeah. If you're on one of those, I do think being able to, I love the Riviera food. So walk over there, like the quick service and everything over there. Yep. I think that's a pretty good benefit. And you have you can walk over to Skyliner closer to that one as well.
Right there.
So they've got, they both have their benefits there. But just in terms of the resort itself, like the vibe and feel, I would say I like Riverside the best. Okay. What about you?
How would I rank it on? Interesting. So you're talking about, Coronado. I'm not a big fan of Coronado in general, but I like Gran Destino. So if we could isolate,
but that's almost like,
if we could isolate those two, then I would say Gran Destino.
That is
not Coronado.
See, that is weird. Like we talk about Coronado, it's like, you talk about Gran Destino, but it's almost like a deluxe light.
Kind of.
It's almost like it's a resort inside of it. Like your experience is so much different staying in Gran Destino Tower versus the rest of Coronado.
It feels like a different category, so I'm just not even gonna address it. But I do like Caribbean Beach because of the Skyliner, because of Sebastian's Bistro is so good. Banana Cabana, we love that place. The pool's cool. Proximity to Riviera, like we talked about. So there's a lot of pluses for Caribbean Beach. I wouldn't put Riverside as my first one, though. I'd have to think about it a little more. I have to think about it.
I mean, I'm not, Riverside or Caribbean Beach. Like, I wouldn't be upset about either one staying there. Yeah. I think Caribbean Beach is just going to depend on where you're staying. I mean, there's pros and cons to each one. I was thinking in terms of like just the vibe and feel of the resort. Oh, I enjoy Riverside more for that. Like walking around it, you got the waterways around you.
Yeah, I do like
the boathouse up there. Like
I do like that.
You got the potential carriage ride that you can take that they've got.
It's real pretty. I don't know. It's probably between Riverside and Caribbean Beach. Yeah. Fort Wilderness. Love Fort Wilderness. It's great. I'm not a big, outdoorsy kind of person.
I don't want to camp.
I do want to check out the cabins, here shortly. I would love to do that. But like the vibe of that is, so I won't even, that's not even in my top 2. But either, Caribbean Beach or Riverside. Yeah. But anyway.
Nothing like saying, hey, let's go to Disney and sleep on air mattresses. Ugh.
That doesn't sound fun? Good to me, but that's just me.
I would do it if like an RV. Yeah. Like pull up a spot, do it. But when you're talking about like tent camping, thank you. No, I have no desire to.
I know people do it and people love it. It's just not my thing.
And I've camped before. So I know how to camp. It's one of those things, if I'm forced into a situation where I need to camp, that is much different versus willingly just saying, I will pay good money here to go camp. I would rather not, personally speaking.
Okay.
Maybe that's just me, but.
All right.
But all right, well, let's talk about the room.
Okay.
So it was a standard room with a 5th sleeper.
Our kids and my mom were supposed to be with us, and they did not come. So we had all this room.
This is true. And I did not sleep on the 5th sleeper.
Nobody did. We didn't even.
I don't think I would have. Well, I might fit on there. It'd be
you
tight.
You can fit.
I just couldn't really stretch out.
Tall.
I couldn't really stretch out.
A child or a smaller adult is ideal.
Probably so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. We were in the Alligator Bayou section, like I said, and our room, we were in a good spot. So like, if you're like you're going to the lobby, if you just keep going down that side road there, it's like the first road you turn on, and it's not in a preferred section, but it's like right next to preferred. So like,
yes.
It's a really close walk to the lobby, and it's actually better to take the bus stop at the lobby instead of the one that you're supposed to go to because of it being so close. So we were close. We were close to the amenities and stuff. It was great. Mm-hmm. We didn't get to do any of them, but
we did not. There. It was meetup weekend, and there was
so much going on.
A lot of stuff going on. But yeah.
But yeah, the decor of the room. So I guess we can talk about that. So, it's basically Princess and the Frog inspired.
Mm-hmm.
You got like the curtain between the bathroom and the main room is Tiana and Naveen as the frogs sitting, across the bayou. We've got framed art, from like Louisiana themed. You got the 5th sleeper backdrop is Louis laying in the water surrounded by like pink lilies and lily pads and fireflies. The bathroom has, it looks like a vintage washboard.
Kind of, yeah.
That would look like to you. The tub and shower curtain is Ray on a dandelion looking up at Evangeline. So that's kind of cute. But it's basically like a mix of Princess and the Frog and like rustic cabin. Because like the table and chairs look like they're made out of sticks.
Yeah, it definitely had more of a, it was, I mean,
rustic.
You can tell these are going to be refurbed soon because they look much different than most of the other rooms.
They were last refurbed in 2019. So it's been 6 years. I don't know if they're going to be, if they're next on the list after Magnolia Bend. I don't know.
They might be.
I don't know.
Because then most of the ones now have that like barn door as a sliding door there.
I know.
And then
I
they've
did
got
miss
the
that.
actual glass. Like there's a lot of things that it's not, the room didn't feel dated necessarily.
No.
Just knowing how the other rooms have been refurbed, it does stand out a little bit because you're like, oh, these are, like the little things are just much different than how the newer refurbed rooms are.
Yeah. And there is no carpet.
Now you like that.
I love that.
I would rather have that as well.
Yes. No carpet. And that was, again, one of the things they brought with the refurb in 2019. It's laid out. It's 2 queen beds. This is like the 5th sleeper. So there's a 5th sleeper pull down under the TV. And there's a little bench in front of it, which was, I think I sat on it one time. And it's got 3 drawers underneath that 5th sleeper to use for storage. And it's got underneath the bed storage you can use to put your suitcases and whatnot. There is a refrigerator, or mini fridge. There's coffee. There's the TV, table and chairs. 2 sinks in the bathroom, which I do love. I've talked about this before with DVC Deluxe Studios, where a lot of them have just the single sink in the bathroom because they count the second sink as what's in the little kitchenette.
Right.
And that drives me crazy. I'm like, no. Okay, yeah, there's 2 sinks in the room, but like, I'm not going to go brush my teeth in the kitchenette sink.
I'll just do that. I know what you mean. You like your own. You like your own sink. Jamie does not like to share sinks.
I don't like to share. There is a separate room for the toilet and the shower and the tub. But it's a shower curtain. I wish it was a glass sliding thing, but whatever. Just want to see those curtains go. Basically.
Yeah, the curtains. Yeah, I would agree. I'd rather have the door there.
Yeah,
for sure. One thing I will say, typically Disney beds are very comfortable. Mm-hmm. These were not very comfortable, and the pillows, they were different than the other ones I've ever used. Like I had like neck pain waking up. Like it was just not a very comfortable bed, which was surprising because usually the beds are very comfortable.
We've slept in a lot of Disney beds, so we would know.
Yeah, and they whatever this one, I definitely think the refurb should happen for different beds.
Different beds.
Because I woke up and I was just normally I don't have any issues like on most hotel beds. But yeah, it was woke up and was not comfortable throughout the night. So I will just say that. I don't know if that's something that maybe it was just that room and those beds, but you said the same thing though. We slept in separate beds on there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sleep in the same bed as you. I can spread out. I'm gonna spread out.
Well, you're used to a king size bed.
I am. That's true.
So queen is like, how do you do this? But yeah, we had space on our own beds, but we both mentioned that the beds were not very comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a
little surprising there, but yeah. But anything else about the room?
About the room specifically, probably not. I mean, we kind of said all we're gonna say. I mean, there's not really much else to say, because we weren't in it much, but it served its purpose. It was a good location. You know, next time we stay there, hopefully we'll get to stay there in a new renovated royal room. You know, we'll see.
Yeah. Now let's talk about my pros and cons of the resort real quick.
Okay.
It is close to the other parks in Disney Springs.
Yeah.
Outside of Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
You do have like Yeehaw Bob, which is unique.
Very popular, very unique.
Yeah. I think the views, like I said, I like the views and the feel of the resort. I think it does have
so beautiful.
Like it's a good resort to like walk around, especially at the evening time.
Yes.
I feel like it's one of those.
Oh, the carriage ride.
I mentioned it earlier.
I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the carriage ride you can do. You can get Mickey beignets if you'd like.
You just walk next door.
French Quarter.
That's right.
So you do also get the amenities of French Quarter as well.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the other pro about that. And I would also say it's pet friendly.
It's one of the 3 or 4 that are.
Yeah. So it's either a pro or a con, unless you get a yippy dog next to you. That could potentially be an issue. But if you do have pets, they are pet friendly there.
Yep.
Yeah. Now there's a deposit.
There is a fee. Yeah. But if you didn't want to have your pet at the hotel, Best Friends Pet Care, which is like the place where you take your dog, like basically board them or keep them there while you're in the parks, is just like down the street.
True.
So not too far away.
Very true. Very true. Any other pros you can think of?
Those are my main ones. I don't remember boat rides being like fantastic. I remember being okay.
It was very average.
It was average.
Yeah, I didn't think it was anything amazing.
Yeah, just you mentioned Yeehaw Bob. Should we describe who he is, just in case people don't know?
He sings on the piano and takes
piano
requests.
guy. He's very funny.
There's tons of videos. Yeah, he's been doing it a very long time.
If he was in Missouri, he'd be performing in Branson.
It's probably very true. It's very true.
He
would have a show in Branson with
the vibe here.
Jim Stafford.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I thought of.
Yeah, it'd be him and Jim Stafford to have the Yeehaw Jim show, and then they.
Oh, Jared, you're so right.
I could listen if you want me to come up with shows that Branson needs. I could come up with a few.
Okay.
They might do them. I don't know.
Yeah. So there you go.
And I was talking about the cons here. I would say it's very spread out.
Yeah, it's spread.
So depending on where you're at, it could be a long walk to the lobby, and the transportation can take a while when you're taking a bus back because there's a lot of stops.
Yeah.
So that is always something to think about. If whether you're leaving or coming to the resort, it may not be the quickest travel time when you're on the buses.
Yeah, depending on your stop, but yeah.
Depending on your stop.
For sure. I mean, really
I would say other
cons?
con. I mean, I think compared to Caribbean Beach, I think Caribbean Beach has a better sit-down restaurant in Sebastian's Bistro.
Sebastian's is so good.
Yeah, and versus Boat Rights. I just don't think Boat Rights was not very good. I've never heard anything different from our experience either, that it's been like this amazing thing. It's okay food.
It's good. It's decent. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got the quick service. I'd say food is not a strong suit of this place, whereas I would say Caribbean Beach, food and drink is much more of a strong suit over there.
Yeah.
And probably the pool here, it's okay. Like it's nothing amazing at the pool, but it's fine.
There's nothing we really hate about Riverside at all. I mean,
no, it's, and like I said,
we get spread out, but
yeah,
all the moderates are, except for French Quarter. French Quarter is very tiny. It only has one bus stop.
True.
So
very true. So, I mean, like I said, we've stayed here before. We would stay here again.
Yeah.
It's a solid resort. Not much else to say, I don't think. You got anything you want to add?
Since it's a moderate resort, it does have moderate resort pricing. I don't remember exactly how much we paid for the room, but it was with the discount for APs, it was under $300. I just can't remember exactly what it was. But average price for Riverside, it is priced higher up there than, like, kind of comparable with Caribbean Beach.
Yeah, and that's I think where the argument would come into, is a moderate resort worth it versus, say, staying at a value? Because essentially the rooms are going to be about the same. You would essentially be paying the difference for potentially location and just like the resort theming. So I think it's going to depend on your budget. I've always kind of felt this way for the most part. I would probably just rather stay at a value versus pay the extra for what the difference is at a moderate. Like, especially if you're going to stay like a week. I personally, that's how I kind of feel like Pop Century or a place like that would be a very similar experience to staying at like a moderate at Disney.
Yeah. Depends on what you're going for, but yeah.
It does depend on what you're going for. For at least in my mind, the rooms are essentially going to be the same. I mean, size-wise, the amenities of the room, all that stuff. So the room itself is the room no matter if you're staying at a value or a moderate. It just depends. Yeah, like, do you like the scenic views? I mean, Pop Century's not going to have that. They do have a Skyliner access.
Yeah, but also, too, you got to think, though, if you do have 5 people, then...
sleeper. Right.
Moderate resorts, you know...
Right.
Your own. Well, I guess you could do Art of Animation, but even that price point's a little high.
Right. So it's going to depend on your party size and things like that. Let's say it's like just 2 people or 4, a family of 4, something like that. I personally would probably just opt for a value. Is probably what I would go for and save the money on the difference. Just my opinion, though.
That's your opinion.
That is my opinion.
Everybody's got one.
This is most people. Some people, you'd be surprised, don't have opinions.
Okay,
they kind of just go with it.
We know you do. So
I'm guilty as charged. So, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for the show. Be sure to check us out on social media. We are at Cap the Magic everywhere, including TikTok now. So follow us on the social medias there, and then be sure to follow us over on YouTube. I kind of have videos I put out daily over at Cap the Magic, and we just crossed 10,000 subscribers over there.
Yay!
So
where's the little clappy button?
Oh, you want the clappy button?
Thank you.
Yes.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
So it's more business side and just not, this, we cover theme park like tips, reviews, things that, strategies for the parks. It's much more like the business end and sort of trends with theme parks and things like that. So if you want to follow over there, you can do that. Again, of course, if you want video versions of the show, at CTM Podcast over on YouTube as well. Check us out over there. And we have some other shows on the network. We have the CTM Universal show where we talk about Universal Studios. And currently it's about twice a month. Mm-hmm. And going forward, though, it's going to be a weekly show as Epic Universe gets closer. And there's going to be a lot of content there to talk about, including, I think, next week I have an episode about the food that was food previews that were announced for Epic Universe and some rumors out there on perhaps whenever we could see AP previews and things.
Ooh, we have a little insider info, kind of.
I've been told things that correspond with other things that I've heard. So not to sound like an investigative reporter, but people have been telling me things from time to time. But the thing is, I have no way, I don't know specifically who the people are, so I don't have any way of verifying that it's all true, except for when you have multiple people telling you very similar things, you can be like, okay, more than likely this is. But I always say it's a rumor and things like that. So,
okay.
But yeah, so you can check that out there. That's on Mondays. We have that one. Then Jamie has Trip Tales, which is her trip report show. And when's the next one there coming out?
Just recorded one. It'll be out on Monday. And I've got another one that I'm recording later this week. And it's coming out first or second week of March. So they'll kind of be close together.
Okay.
But if you want to be a Trip Tales guest, you can fill out the form on ctmtriptales.com. And if I am interested in your trip and want to have you on the show, I will contact you.
There you go. And be sure, if you want some new apparel, you going on the trip or you just want some stuff, nice shirts at home, you can check out Capture the Magic Apparel. And it's all the shirts we make. We print them by hand. We ship them out to you. We design them in-house as well. So they're highest quality print that you can get on very comfortable shirts, whether it's poly cotton blends, 100% cotton shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, whatever you want. We can print on those. And we got some new designs in the shop and always coming up with new ones there. So you can check that out. And you can go over to ctmapparelco.com and use the promo code. Just use Valentine's Day. We'll just keep that one for now.
Okay.
That's what we'll do. So you'll still get Valentine's Day discount, get 15% off there. Plus, if you order $50 or more, you're going to get free shipping as well. So you can get some good savings there. And of course, if you're a Club 32 member, you get 20% off all the time. So you can join Club 32 and then make a shirt order and you could save money both ways. Either way, you can do either one. So again, ctmapparelco.com. Use the promo code Valentine's Day to get 15% off of your order. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for the show. So thank you, everybody, for listening and or watching. And thank you, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank you.
And as Jamie always likes to say,
we will see you in the parks.
Bye.